I would love to say welcome back, but because that was a tough call. Last week, me and Johnny were on the sofa, so who knew how that was going to go? But I am so thrilled to be back for week 4 and have you all join for another Leah's book. So, episode 4, we went to the Royal Navy in Yeovil to do up their mess decks, which was their kind of communal areas that they all shared. So there was, I think, something crazy like 24 cadets would share one mess deck each, and it was where they had to do all their cooking, all of their like socializing, and where they would kind of gather to watch TV. And basically they never used these spaces, and if you saw the before pictures, you probably know why. They were the most unmotivational spaces going, and the kitchens were like so tiny that they could honestly fit like one person at a time. So why would you want to cook in them? So this week, my inspiration for this was so easy, and it came to my head straight away because it just reminded me of a big family gathering or my own home, and how I use my kitchen and how I use the island. And it's really where like everybody gathers. So whenever I'm cooking, everyone is around the island. We're having a good time, we're chatting, we're eating, we're drinking, and it's like a real hub of the home. So I thought, what better way to just make the kitchen a pantry and bring out the kitchen into the main area and make this amazing big island where they could all sit around. So it had the bar stools on one side, and then it had the movable sofa on the other, which could swivel round and then work as a kind of sofa to watch the cinema screen, which I put up on the other side. But honestly, the kind of start of this process, you are really driving me mental today, honey. I am being the star of the show, Rufus, not you. So pipe down. Yeah, you pipe down. Yeah. Shh. Honestly, I think he's more hard work than a child. If anyone else has a diva dog, do let me know. So in terms of the colour palette and the paper for this week, I really wanted to use something botanical because I felt that it did sit right. And also it's for kind of boys and girls, men and women is probably what they want to be referred to as. And I really looked the name of the house that the building was in, and it was called Montacute House. So my common room was called Montacute House. And I looked up what Montacute was or what it meant, and it was a kind of like art gallery that was nearby that held some really gorgeous tapestries. And one of them was called A Night in 1,000 Flowers. And it was a night going through a field of 1,000 flowers, and they were all like multicolored, and it was really beautiful. So I kind of took a reference point from this, and I tried to find a paper that recreated the kind of moment in the tapestry. So kind of jumping to my mood board and kind of samples for the week, I found these gorgeous papers which had all of these like really beautiful flowers, which were kind of similar to the one I used. The one I ended up using was a lot brighter and a bit more vivid in the actual florals that were in it, which is why I chose it over these. These are a bit more kind of like a watercolor effect, but I really wanted it to feel like a field and to have all the different varieties of flowers. And then in terms of the colors I matched with, I went for a really kind of bold red and a green. Again, they were all colours that were in the paper, and I pulled all of them out to match the kind of kitchen itself. In terms of the kitchen, I do have a hilarious story of me and my husband going to someone's house who was getting a new kitchen fitted, and they said we could take as much as the old kitchen as we wanted. And we went with Rufus and spent one Saturday afternoon just ripping out this person's kitchen. I mean, great deal for them. We ripped out their kitchen free of charge, and they didn't have to do it themselves or pay anyone to do it. So we got their free kitchen, and I completely repainted the whole kitchen in red and then sprayed all of the brassware to match in a kind of really like gold colour so that it kind of popped off the red. And then the island I left in a oak veneer, which actually came out really well, and was a really nice contrast to the kind of red kitchen tops and background. Other things that I used inside the room which made such an impact was the checkerboard floor. I think from bringing it out from the pantry into the main area, it made the space feel huge. And again, really easy to clean when there's 24 of you trying to cook dinner in there. And it honestly really opened up the space. Again, hilariously, that came in a 4-metre roll, which I hadn't thought about. So when it arrived and got delivered, it actually didn't fit in the van. So I had to unroll the entire thing and refold it back up so that we could get it in the van, which is something to consider when you get 4-metre long things delivered. In terms of actually the island itself and the purpose that I really thought it was for, it was for them all to gather around, and if they were eating, to really encourage them to come out of their rooms, that they could all sit in the space together. So you had seating over at the right between the wardrobes, we had bar stools, we had sofas, we had the bespoke bench that we built, and the whole room could seat every single person, which was such a triumph for that space. And seeing their faces when they came in at the end to see it was amazing. Even though they didn't know what a vinyl player was, it was the first time I felt old as I showed them how to put on a vinyl. But they said they really were excited to come and cook together. And I think it's really important that you can kind of easily make meals that are one, quick and easy and super tasty that you can then share with friends. So I'm gonna show you how to do a really quick Milanese, which is one of my favorite things to eat. It's so quick, it's so handy, and it's delicious. So let's go. So we're gonna make a really quick Milanese, which, if you don't know, you can make it with veal traditionally, but we can do it with chicken. And all you need is a chicken breast, an egg, some breadcrumbs, and some flour, and quite a lot of oil because we're going to fry it. But if all you healthy people out there have an air fryer, you can chuck it in the air fryer. So basically what we're going to do with the breast is we're just going to butterfly it, and then you're going to use a rolling pin or, I don't know, your husband's head, whatever you have handy to you, and you're going to bash it out to make it as thin as possible. So we'll give it a quick bash, and then we're going to go through the 3 steps and then fry it. So bear with me 1 second. So first of all, we're going to dip it in flour, which I'm just going to grab. And just going to give that kind of light coat in the flour. Like so. Also, if you want to use your fingers, go for it. I just have a weird thing about touching chicken. Ta-da. And then just shake off any excess flour and pop that to the side. And then into the egg mix, which is just egg, salt, pepper, and if you've got a little bit of rosemary, always delicious to be added in. Now we're going to coat him like so. So when I always host parties, especially at New Year, so we always have a New Year's Eve party, and we always have it themed because it just makes it more fun. So we've had a casino party, we had a murder mystery party, and the murder mystery party we themed as a mafia murder mystery. And obviously I did all of the cooking and I made Milanese. So I made 24 pieces of chicken and breadcrumbs with roasted peppers and served it with pizza di patati, which is amazing. It literally translates to pizza potatoes, but it's mashed potato and then you put it in the oven with mozzarella and Parmigiana cheese, and it becomes this like really delicious cheesy mashed potato. There is some in the oven just now, and I'm going to serve it with the Milanese. But you just press it down in the breadcrumbs. You can also, if you have like stale old bread, which is always great, just blitz it and that can be used as your breadcrumbs. But I didn't have any stale bread because I have eaten it all this week. So we're just using some panko breadcrumbs. And now your Milanese is ready to be fried or popped into the air fryer. Although I don't own an air fryer, so I don't know how long it would take in an air fryer, but it's really thin, so I don't imagine too long. And the real reason I don't have an air fryer is because they're so ugly. If anyone wants to let me redesign air fryers to be beautiful parts of your kitchen, let me know. And then we're just going to heat up quite a lot of oil, and we're just going to fry this in the oil. But it won't take very long because we bashed out all the chicken, so it's really, really, really thin. So we're essentially just going to shallow fry. Don't have a heart attack at the oil. There we go. But what I love about our parties, and it's become quite a tradition now, is that I always find New Year especially, we don't really like going out. You can never get taxis home and all of these issues. So by us hosting a party, it just means everyone is here together and we just have the best time and we have amazing food. All the drink is here. I don't know what more you want. And I love the hosting part. Everyone always thinks it's like such an effort for me to host and cook for like so many people, but I love cooking and I love watching everyone eat the food and enjoy it. I think that's actually probably my favourite part, which is quite sad. Watching everyone else eat the foods and say it's nice. Or maybe they're just all too polite, or they're too scared to tell me that they don't like it if it's bad. So a way to test if your oil is hot enough is just to like pop a wee few drops in if you see it bubbling, but not bubbling yet. And don't put anything in cold oil because all that happens is your food will just soak up all the oil and just end up with like a really fatty piece of meat. Whereas if the oil is nice and hot, it will cook all the way through and then you can take it out and drain the oil off. So whilst that is there, just going to check on the potatoes. Which already looks so good. So you can see all the melted like crispy cheese. But I'm just going to put that back in and give it a couple more minutes to be ready for when the chicken is coming out. But growing up in Scotland, there actually was like so many Scottish Italians. And we used to every summer have these picnics and they were called La Scampinata. And everyone used to go and everyone used to cook loads and loads of food. And we used to just go to some random park, actually. I'm sure it was rented out on purpose, to be fair, because there was tons of us. And we'd all have like our gazebos and everyone's family would cook food. And you would just go and play with all your mates. And it was like the perfect day out. Like you got to play with your friends. You got to eat amazing foods. And I don't actually know if they still do them anymore. But they were like such fond memories, and I think that's where like my love of food started. I mean, being Italian, I'm not sure how you can't not love food, but okay, so you can see it kind of bubbling away now. So we're getting hot enough, so I will pop this in. Yeah, there we go. It almost looks like a heart. How pretty. And I'll just turn that down slightly because I don't want it to burn. Out the way. And what I find hilarious is my nonna she used to live in Scotland for half the year and then in Italy the other half. And she had quite a small flat in Glasgow, but she had industrial cooker's hob and oven because she loved cooking so much. And it used to just make me laugh that she lived in this quite small flat, yet had like a proper kitchen set up as if she was a professional chef, which she was a professional chef in her own right. But there was always something cooking when I used to go and visit my nonna. Like, honestly, the stuff she used to make was incredible, whether it was like a lasagna or a roast on a Sunday. She used to always make apple pie, which, oh, I can't describe how good her apple pie was, but there was always an apple pie in the oven. We used to always make pasta together from like scratch. I have so many memories like making gnocchi with her. You used to get, when you used to make gnocchi, this little like wooden board. It was like this size and it had little ridges in it. And gnocchi is mainly just potatoes and then with some flour mix, so you'd get the dough. And you just use your thumb and roll the gnocchi off it, and her whole dining table used to just be full of gnocchi that we'd make together and then eat for dinner. And I think that's really special, and not enough people really use cooking as a way to like either, you know, have time with their friends or their family. It's kind of a second thought a lot in the UK, I find. Whereas in Italy, that's how you spend time with people. And for me, that's so important. My husband, when I first met him, was not the best cook in the world. But now we've got quite a lot of cookbooks. He says as long as he has a recipe, then he'll cook. And now he does cook quite a lot for us, which is amazing. And he enjoys it, which is a bonus. So, once you can see it starting to go like golden and brown and you've kind of flipped it over. Woo! Stand back. Because I put a little hole in it. As I said, it really won't take long to cook. It's going this kind of golden colour. Is ready to come out. I didn't know it had to come with a warning to be careful. Yikes! And then I'll just let this drain off the oil. And we'll get out the pizza di patate. And your delicious dinner will be made. And that was so quick. So now we can plate up our Milanese. I also just love that the chicken seems to like triple in size when you half it, but it's the same amount of chicken. Seems like you get a little bit of a bonus. And then I'll bring out the pizza di patate. And hopefully you're going to see the cheesy goodness that comes with cheesy mashed potato. Oh yeah. And you can serve this with roasted red peppers, which I highly recommend. Just cut up loads of red peppers and fry them in oil and garlic for as long as possible. And it's absolutely delicious. And lastly, you want to squeeze a little bit of lemon over that Milanese. All the way from Sicily, this lemon is. Like so. And there you have it. Milanese with pizza di patate. I went really big on the builds this week, and it was quite scary, and definitely you see time going much quicker when your carpenter is, you know, outside for ages. But I think the builds really paid off. The island itself with the sofa that turned, and it just made it like that whole one space kind of get divided into two, but really showed how a multifunctional space can work, but also still feel cohesive. This was my first standout space, and it felt so nice to hear Michelle say my name. It did come as a shock. Everyone's spaces were so different, and I think every single week it's becoming so nerve-wracking when Michelle and Alan come out to reveal who's gone through and who's on the sofa. And after being on the sofa last week, it was such a roller coaster. And to win standout space this week for this space felt amazing. It came from such a like personal place, and the design itself just really reminded me of like family and friends together that I've experienced throughout my life so far, which I really cherish. And it felt really nice to give that to the young cadets who are going to be using the space now. There was definitely items that were really easy to source this week and some which were a little bit more difficult, and decisions that I made to maybe keep the sofas I think was really beneficial. So a lot of people chose for new sofas, which could be quite costly, but I didn't see anything wrong with the sofas, and I wanted to just kind of throw on new dressings to kind of liven them up a little bit. But I felt the actual sofas were fine. I mean, in an ideal world I would love new sofas, but we're working on tight budgets, so we kept them, and I used that money to really go big on the build. So we had the bespoke bar kind of seating as well. We had the whole kitchen island, the pantry itself. Also, I want a pantry in my own house, never mind them getting a pantry. And obviously the lino, but it was honestly so much fun, and I'm so glad that they loved the space. I think just kind of looking at the mood board for this week on a digital level, I knew instantly I wanted to make the pantry because it just made sense for me. Nobody could fit in this kitchen together, and the whole point is the space brings you together, and they all used the space for cooking. So it was really important that I brought the kitchen out from this space and into the main kitchen. And I was really inspired by all of these kind of open shelving you see. So it's really easy for them to like store all their own stuff, and knows, I'm sure it'll all be labeled because they want to have all their own food. And then I had some kind of drying racks as well to keep the place tidy and in order. And then these were just some kind of images that I generated of how I imagined the pantry to look. And some floor plans again. And then obviously the new kitchen area, this was the wallpaper in the end that I chose, which I just loved because it's actually like the rolling hills of fields and then had all of the flowers in it. So it worked so well against Montacute House, which was obviously the tapestry I'd taken the main inspiration from. We had storage as well within the wardrobes that I put at the back with kind of bench seating. So again, all of their stuff from working could all go in there, and they didn't have to take it back to their rooms, which was really important. Cinema Snug. The TV they had before, yeah, it was great, but if there's 24 of you trying to watch something together and you're really trying to encourage the guys to come out of their rooms to watch something, I felt like the cinema screen kind of just made that whole area feel really cozy at the back, and they could pull down the projector screen, like all invite their friends over and all watch a movie together. And I think that was kind of like the whole purpose of the space, was to bring everyone together. So after they've had food, it wasn't like they felt they had nothing to do and then go back to their rooms. They could come, swivel the sofa around, and then have a movie together as well, which this was kind of like one of my favourite things about that space. But overall, I think this has to be one of my favourite. I mean, I won Standout Space, so I'm definitely going to say it's my favourite. So after winning Standout Space, I bagged myself a spot in week 5. So come back next week to see Leah's lookbook for week 5.